If you've ever seen a white egret, you probably noticed its beautiful plumage and long, slender beak. But if you've ever seen a flock of them together, you probably noticed something else. Their distinctive V formation while flying, and their overall synchronized movements. This is just one of the many fascinating aspects of these birds that I'll be discussing in this series, so stay tuned for more. In today's episode, we're going to look at why egrets fly in a V shape when they flock together. Why do they do this? What benefits does it give them? And what makes them different from other birds that also fly in groups? You see, when a bird needs to travel long distances, it can expend much less energy if it flies with the wind and at a slight angle to it, using the wind to push it forward. By flying in a V shape, each bird takes advantage of the upwash above the wingtip vortices of the bird in front of it. The upwash is the upward moving air above the wings. This means that the birds don't have to put in as much effort to stay aloft, conserving their energy for long journeys. This also means that the birds can maintain their speed without expending extra energy, which is important because speed is critical for keeping up with the rest of the flock. But there are other benefits to flying in a V. If the birds were to fly in a straight line, they would all see the same predators at the same time. But when they're in a V, the birds at the front and the wings have a much better view of the surroundings and can spot predators earlier than the birds in the middle or at the back. If a predator is spotted, the birds at the front can warn the rest of the flock by making a loud, high-pitched alarm call, giving everyone enough time to react and escape. In this way, the birds in the middle and at the back benefit from the vigilance of those at the front. Another benefit of the V shape is that it helps to keep the flock together. When the birds are flying in a V, they tend to stay closer together, and it is easier for them to communicate with each other and coordinate their movements. This is important because it helps to prevent the flock from breaking up and makes it easier for them to hunt and feed together. So you might be wondering, why don't other birds flying in flocks use this technique? Well, it turns out that the V shape is actually pretty common among birds that travel in groups, especially waterfowl and wading birds like herons and egrets. The V shape is thought to have evolved independently in these groups, because the benefits of this type of flocking behavior outweigh the costs. For example, the increased vigilance and the ability to travel long distances without expending too much energy probably helped our egret. Ancestors survive and reproduce more successfully. Over time, this behavior has been passed down to modern egrets, who, along with other birds, continue to reap the benefits of this ancient adaptation. Thanks for watching. See you next time. If there's one thing that all birds have in common, it's that they all flock together when they migrate. But not all flocks are the same. And today we're going to find out what makes the white egret's flocking behavior so special. Hi, I'm here with Minute Earth. White egrets are found across the northern hemisphere, but they breed in large colonies only in Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, and the Bahamas. So every year, thousands of these birds travel hundreds of miles from their wintering grounds in the south to their breeding grounds in the east. And while flocks of many species move in a V-shape, egrets travel in a giant loop, taking turns in the lead. And even though this behavior has been observed for centuries, we don't know exactly why they do it. One idea is that it helps them keep an eye out for predators. Another is that it allows them to take advantage of the wind. But our favorite hypothesis is that it's all about communication. After all, egrets don't just travel in a group, they also dance in a group, and this may help explain their unique migration pattern as well. Like other herons, egrets hunt by stealth. They wait until they re within striking distance of their prey and then stab their bills straight down into the water, scooping up fish in their extremely long and slender beaks. When they're done, they shake their heads vigorously to get rid of any extra water and fling the fish into the air and catch it with their feet before gobbling it down. And they like to show off their hunting skills during the courtship ritual as well. Male egrets perform elaborate dances to attract their mate, leaping and bowing and shaking their booty in a way that displays their white underparts and long necks. If she's not impressed, they'll just keep on dancing until she is. After they pair bond, they'll stick together for life, returning to the same nesting site year after year. In fact, once a heron finds a good nesting site, it'll often stay there for the rest of its life, adding new layers of nests on top of old ones. And these nests can be quite the eyesore. Despite their elegant appearance, egrets are messy nesters, often using the same branch or clump of vegetation as a bathroom as well as a bedroom. But once they start laying eggs, which can be anywhere from 3 to 6 per nest, they become much more attentive parents. Both parents will take turns incubating the eggs and protecting the chicks, even though they don't actually lay a down feather in the nest. Instead, they use their bodies as incubators, shivering to generate heat, and they continue to shiver and provide food for their young until the chicks are ready to fledge. At which point they'll join a flock and begin their long journey south for the winter, and the cycle will start anew. This is one of the most spectacular sights in all of nature. Can you name that bird? Take your time. If you said snowy egret, you'd be right. But there's more to this picture than meets the eye. And if you can figure out what it is, you'll win a prize. No, not that one. That's for guessing the common name. The real prize is for knowing the Latin name, which is Ardea hamudis. And you know what? You didn't have to memorize that. If you were paying close attention, you could have figured it out by looking at the bird's feet. See how they're yellow? That's a sure sign that it's an Ardea. And if it's white, then it's an Ardea hamudis. But what are these birds doing? They're flocking, and while many bird species flock, each does it in its own way. Flocking behavior is unique to a species, like a signature, if you will. And this particular signature is one of the most beautiful in the avian world. Watch how high they fly, how they keep their bodies perfectly still, and how they seem to cover every inch of the sky. It's like they're saying, "We may be small, but look how big we are when we work together." And they don't just flock when they take off or land. They do it during migration, too. Every year, hundreds of thousands of white egrets migrate from their winter homes in Central America and the Caribbean to their breeding grounds in the United States and Canada. And they do it in style. Watch how they line up, wave after wave, like a perfectly choreographed dance. Then, just as the sun is setting, they begin their aerial ballet. Turning and twisting in the sky, they seem to be playing a never-ending game of tag. But there's nothing playful about this. This is serious flying. Each turn, each twist brings them closer to their destination, closer to where they'll spend the night. Flying like this takes a lot of energy, so resting is important. But they don't just rest. They roost, huddling together for warmth and safety. The egrets take turns keeping watch while the others sleep. And when it's their turn to rest, they know that their friends will keep them safe. Now, you might think that this kind of behavior would make them easy prey for predators like pelicans and bald eagles, but you'd be wrong. There is safety in numbers, and these birds know it. When they hunt, they use their beaks to spear fish and frogs, and their sharp eyes help them spot prey from great distances. And when a predator tries to steal their food, they mob it, dive bombing until it goes away. When it's time to nest, the males form a circle around the female as she lays her eggs, protecting her from harm. And when the eggs hatch, the parents take turns guarding their young, while the other parent goes out to hunt. In the end, it takes a village, or should I say a flock, to raise these chicks. So the next time you see a group of birds taking off from a lake, take a closer look. Are they egrets? Do they fly like this? If they do, you'll know that what you're seeing is more than just a flock of birds. It's a community, a family, a team. It's the best way to get through the day and the year.